guys, this is Ashley with Are You Sure You Want to Do That? And this is Interviewing With. Today we have two very special guests. You guys know them from the DM and player, um, Shannon from Paradise. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this.
Yeah, thanks for having
Thank
us.
you. Yeah, absolutely.
How have you guys been?
Good. Just trying to stay sane through all this chaos. This is supposed to be the year of the double crit. More like
Yeah.
double fail.
Well, I think something else crit on us.
Yes,
Um,
that's true. That's very true.
I couldn't agree enough. Um, so first and foremost, I want to talk a little bit about Paradise RPG. How did it come about?
Hmm. Came about at 2 a.m. after a home campaign session.
yeah, between the two of us and one other person who didn't end up actually doing the stream
Yeah.
because he didn't really have time, or
Yeah.
I don't think he wanted to be that public. But yeah, there's the two of us. We had just finished a really good home campaign session, and we were just doing our normal chatting, debriefing afterwards, and it just turned into us saying we want to do this, and then we roped Alex into it from the home campaign as well, and then he roped in his roommate Tim, who roped in Stefan, and they roped in Clayton, and it all just kind of happened pretty quickly.
Very quickly.
Me and Shannon talked about it, and then we were not expecting to be ready to have a full group ready to go.
Yeah.
As
I feel like it
quickly
was
as we did.
August when we proposed the idea, maybe July of last year, and then we started in October. So it came together really, really fast.
Very fast.
That's so amazing. Can you guys tell us a little bit about what's going on in the campaign?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So much.
Make sure you. Actually, no, because this will be out after that episode.
Yeah, but still, I should talk about it anyway. I don't want to get into that habit because we had to pre-record this week because Tim is going to be away on Monday and he was kind of needed for the story. So we pre-recorded, and there's just a lot of emotional stuff happening. A lot of I don't even know. There's just so much happening. Yeah.
It's very much, we're very much in a part of the story that is, it's got a lot of heavy Scarlette stuff, a lot of heavy backstory information for Shannon's character Scarlette. Some big reveals that have happened recently about her backstory, and particularly in regards to her brother, who in the story so far we had learned was lost or kidnapped 10 years ago. She's been searching for him on and off for the last 10 years. And there's been a huge reveal about that happened in the last 3 episodes, essentially, that have had some heavy emotional stuff for Scarlett.
It was, those are my favorite moments to play. It's been so much fun. Sean's villains are my absolute favorite. And yeah, so that's been a lot of fun to try and to really get into Scarlett's emotional mindset, and she's experiencing all these things, just all these heavy things at once, and not to mention her leg is broken. She's really hurt. She doesn't have a lot of HP left, so there's that on top of it. So it's a lot, and it's been a lot of fun to explore.
Which kind of brings me to my next question. How do you guys get into character?
That's a fun question. So for Scarlette, I didn't always wear makeup for Scarlette. I didn't for the first half of our episodes. I just did this. But then I had makeup on for something else earlier in the day, and then we had our stream at night, and I was like, oh dang. I feel like I played a little bit better because I had some makeup on. So now I wear makeup for Scarlette. So before we stream on Mondays, I put on a playlist that I made on Spotify that's got songs that remind me of her. Mm-hmm. And while I'm listening to that, I put on my makeup and just try and think about what happened in the last session, where she's at right now. And that really helps.
Awesome. Yeah. How about for you, Sean?
Well, it's a bit difficult to get in character for
the DM.
But if there's a character that's going to be prominently portrayed at NPC, then I will usually do some kind of prep, maybe not necessarily right before the session, because I'm usually coming straight from work and having like a million things on my mind before. Character prep is not always the priority, but the week leading up to the episode, I'll usually have different moments throughout the week where I'll either be driving and I'll start thinking about the character and the voice. A lot of it's making sure I have the proper voice for a character, an NPC that needs to stand out from kind of just the random guard or the random brigand. When you have like Shannon said, a villain that needs to have a unique character personality, that I'll do a bit more prep for. And usually it's a lot of watching videos of people who have similar personalities that I want to the character, like villains from other TV shows or movies that I really like, that inspire the character a little bit. Then also I do some pretty deep dives into how to do accents. Doesn't always work, but like I like to literally look up like videos from voice coaches that are like, this is how the mouth shape is when you do a, whatever, a Southern accent. Like if you're not doing this, then you're not quite getting it. And I was like, that's very interesting to me, but also is really helpful for getting into character.
Yeah, and if Sean and I are at a table together playing and our characters know each other, we like to get on before the stream or the podcast or the recording or whatever, and we like to practice in character, and especially for trying a new accent, because we want to just like get a feel for it before we actually play, and that's super helpful too.
Yeah, that's become its own ritual whenever we're playing at a table together. Sometimes we just sit there and hang out for an hour before, but usually we're trying to do some kind of prep.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Shannon, can you tell us a little bit about Scarlette?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, what can I tell you about Scarlette? I love her so much. She is a Lava Genasi, and she is a rogue with bright red hair. And I remember when I was making her, I really loved the idea of making like characters that like there's something that's completely opposing about them. So like she's supposed to be super sneaky, but she's got bright red hair that's extremely recognizable. So I liked that idea of trying to trying to be sneaky and deal with the fact that she's recognizable. And I always like to write very tragic backstories, as Sean will tell you. Every single one of my characters' backstories is very traumatic. And Scarlette's is no exception. And so I know rogues are like the general stereotype for rogues is to be broody and to be edgy and all that. And I still wanted to play that for Scarlette, but I wanted to try and make that a little, like, make it unique. Even I still wanted to be the broody rogue, but I also wanted to try and make her my own. So that's where the red hair came from. She's got this really cool ability that when it's called erupted flesh. And so her skin will like crack like magma. And anybody in a 5-foot radius around her has to take, makes a dex saving throw or take some fire damage. And it's just real badass. And Sean keeps telling me he's going to nerf it, and he hasn't yet. So I'm going to use it until that happens.
It'll be nerfed one day. Last session, I had to actually do research to be like, what temperature does like iron melt at? Because I was like, oh, well, what temperature? And then I had to be like, what temperature is magma? Because I was like, to see if Scarlette could, because Scarlette in the last episode that aired is in a prison cell at this point, and I was like, don't think this will work.
But at the same time, I
actual science behind it.
I'd already used it, so I don't think I could have used it again.
That's a good point. I forgot that this was all happening in the same day. So yeah you would not have had it available.
I did think about it, and then I was like, nah, I used it stupidly earlier to just show off.
Which you often use it just
because it's cool.
And it might be why I haven't nerfed it yet, is because I know you almost exclusively use it to show off and not in strategic points.
Excuse you, those guards that I burned in that one at Drift March, that was not it was showing off a little bit, but it was effective.
Just real quick on that note, it is so funny how there's so much like scientific facts that go into like D&D because your players be like, okay, I want to do this, and then you're like, you know what, let me go online for 30 minutes and research this.
Yeah, it happens a lot. I mean, sometimes you can just be like, all right, well, this is a magical world, so yes, that works. But like other times, I'm like, I really want to see how this would work.
Sean's a very rule of cool heavy DM, which we really appreciate. Like if we come up with something creative, he definitely rewards it, and I really like that about his style.
I love that. I want to talk a little bit about Sean. We as DMs, we plan this whole world and stuff, and it doesn't matter how much we plan. Sometimes our players will throw us some curveballs. How have you adapted to the curveballs, especially on live stream?
It can be challenging. So like the current arc that they just sort of semi completed, or was meant to happen the way I planned the entire like region they're in, was meant to happen or like play out over like a week in game time, and it ended up playing out in a day game time because of the way things they did, which I mean in the end I guess it like worked out in a lot of ways, but it cost them a lot to brush through this all in one day. So that's, on stream, a lot of times it's restructuring a scene that you meant to be in a different time or place into something that can be viable where the players have decided it was going to happen. And it just takes a lot of improvising, which, I like improvising. And you can improvise better when you have all that stuff that you've planned, and when you just need to be like, all right, I need to reskin this or reposition this. That I think is, especially if you're streaming, that's like, you have to be open to that, because a lot of DMs, they might prepare something and then characters go somewhere else, and it's like, okay, well, I'm just going to come up with something entirely new. And that can be, that can still happen on stream, but it's a lot smoother if you're like, all right, well, this side thing I had, I can repurpose this, change a few of the monsters, change a few of the designs of that scene, restructure the terrain on the fly really quickly, and it can be repurposed for a different part of the story. So I had to kind of crush a lot of stuff down into one day, but at the same time I was like, no, there's certain things that are not going to happen, and that you're not going to encounter that you would have if it had gone out for the entire kind of, even if it wasn't the full like week that I had planned for them there, even if it was just a day or two more, there would be more there for them to engage in. But that, this party plays fast and loose, and they like to run in, and
not us.
And that has its own certain rewards, but also some punishments, like a broken leg.
Yeah.
Now, I normally ask this question to the DMs about pet peeves, but Shannon, do you have any pet peeves as a player?
I do, actually. One of the ones that drives me absolutely crazy, and it's hard to do when you're all remote, but it's when people talk over each other, and it's when people are, there's a difference between getting excited in a moment and everybody's trying to do something at once. Like, that doesn't bother me as much, but when it's consistently like everybody's trying to one up each other or talk over each other, that really bothers me. And I've been lucky enough, my two main tables, we don't do that a lot. So when I've been at tables that do that, it's really noticeable. And I didn't know that bothered me so much until I was at a table where it happened. And so whenever I play, I try to, just be mindful of how much time I'm taking up in a certain scene, but also like if somebody else is good at something, like trying to bring them into the scene and being like, hey, can you pick this lock? Because I know you're really good at that. And just being really mindful. And I also like to read people's body language and facial expressions. So if it looks like they're trying to say something, like I'll back off for a little bit so that they can get what they want to in.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely get that. And it happens, like I said, sometimes people get excited and
yeah.
But yeah, I couldn't agree enough with that. Sean, how about you? Do you have any DM pet peeves?
Uh, I mean, that one is, I'd say that's a similar pet peeve of mine is if someone's not letting other people talk or, or they're monopolizing the time in a malicious, not malicious, but in a, like a, cause like sometimes it's just the way the session is going where it's like, this is a heavy Scarlett session or this is a heavy Cal session because that's just where the story is.
Mm-hmm.
But when someone's kind of trying to dominate every single scene or what I really don't like, it's not happened often, but I don't like players that try to put down other players while they're playing, you know, by either because they're like, oh, my character has this quirk and I want to do this. And then like another player is just like insight check. Like they're just like want to shut down what they're doing.
Yeah.
And that can be really frustrating as a player, but also as a DM to be like, well, no, we're like to have to like litigate. Like I like the tables I DM right now because there's not a lot of that where I have to be like, all right, everyone, let's take a breath and we have to litigate this situation. Now, it's not so much that we need to play and that we need to resolve and make sure everyone's on the same page. It does not happen often, if at all, in at our tables. And if it does, it's usually pretty amicable and it's just sort of like, all right, let's take a breath, get through it, and then let's get into the next scene. But that's definitely can be annoying, or more of a pet peeve. But yeah, I mean, I've really only DM'd 2 tables. So, and I DM the same people over and over again. So I don't really, I'm sure if I played with more like strangers, I might have more pet peeves as a DM.
Fair enough. What boat got you started in D&D? Like, who introduced it to you guys?
Sean did.
Yes, I introduced it to myself. No.
Yeah.
I introduced it to Shannon. So I was introduced by the very first table I ever played at by one of my friends from grad school, who we had talked in grad school. We're like, we should play D&D. Like, it's something I've always wanted to do. I'm 25 and I haven't played it yet, and I want to try. And we eventually, many months later than that, got a table organized, and we played very casually and very, infrequently. And I really liked it, but there was. And the table was fun, but there was, I had in my mind, a vision of a different kind of table that was more my style. And that's when I was like, all right, I want to pull in my friends from high school into this. Because my best friends, which, my 2 best friends at the time were, and they're still my best friends, was my friend Brian, but also Shannon's husband, Josh. And we were, at first it was just the 3 of us, and then we pulled in one of our other friends, and then eventually Josh was like, oh, Shannon wants to play, and I was like, yeah, let's bring her in, more than the merrier. And it just, the rest is
history. Oh my god, from that very first session I had no idea what it was. Like, I knew it involved dice, I knew it involved magic and fantasy, but I had no idea how much I needed this in my life until I started playing. And Sean and I really like to write, and like you said, we went to high school together, so we have a creative writing background. So we started writing my first character's backstory together. We came up with ideas, we co-wrote a lot of the big moments in there, and there's things that he knows about her that I don't know, which I love, because I love when he gets to, bring that in and gets to surprise me. And we did that for Scarlette too. Some of the stuff that we wrote together, and there's things that he knows about her that it's driving me crazy, but it's fine. It'll come out eventually. And so, yeah, it just,
like
I
what?
cannot, like what? We'll talk after. But I just can't believe we weren't doing this in high school. Like, we could have been playing for so many more years. Like, I've only been playing for like 2 years at this point. And I think you've been playing for like 2.5. I don't know. I think you're playing a little longer than I have.
Yeah, I had been playing for like 6 months before we started our campaign. So yeah, I've been playing for probably 3 in that sense, and you
Mhm.
like 2.5, or we're approaching 2.5 because we just celebrated
We
our
just
2 year
celebrated our 2 year
2 year anniversary on our home
Yeah,
Oh,
campaign.
we did.
So our home campaign's been going for 2 years.
It's
that's
amazing.
amazing. That is really, really cool. Normally, some parties can go 10 years in one campaign, and some can barely like make it past a couple of weeks. So it's a milestone. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
Um, so I have a couple of questions about some advice from player perspective and DM perspective. Shannon, do you have any advice for new players?
I love this question. Um, if there's something that you've always wanted to try, just go for it. D&D is the perfect, or any TTRPG is the perfect place to try a voice or try a personality or get into acting if you really wanted to try that. And I've always loved performing, and both of my tables, that my main tables, are really RP heavy,
Mhm.
which is amazing. That's what I absolutely love. I love telling the story and role playing out everything. I also, um, if you are a new player, make sure that you form a relationship with your DM so that you can, talk about things, and you can write your backstory. You can talk about things that you want to have happen and things that are no-goes that you do not want to have happen. And just making sure that you're really open with the things that you're not okay with, so that everybody is clear and knows what is a hard stop for you, but also telling everybody what you like and what you want to see in the game, because if your DM knows what you like and what you want to see, then it's going to show up in the game and it's going to be a lot more fun for you.
Yeah, definitely. And you guys have such an amazing DM player relationship. I'd love to see more. Like I said, I'd like to see more of that. Um, Sean, what DM advice do you have for new DMs who are intimidated of the game?
Oh, that's a good question. So, as far as new DMs getting into it, who, D&D or any TTRPG can be very intimidating to be the GM or DM, or whatever the game calls that role. The biggest thing is you got to be open to making mistakes, because you're going to. You're going to make a lot of them. You're going to forget a rule. You're going to misinterpret a rule. You're gonna do something that's rule of cool and then forget how you broke the rule there. And when it comes up later and someone's like, well, I did this here, and it's like, well, that was a cool moment. This is just, you're just in a town, whatever. But
Right.
and then like it's not something that you're just gonna automatically be really good at right away. It's gonna take some learning, but it can be very fun. And you need to make sure that your table understands that you're a player also, and that you're not just some referee who's there to make sure they're having fun but doesn't have any right to fun themselves. Like, you are there to play as well. You were there to have fun, and that's very important to avoid burning out as a DM and
Mm-hmm.
getting frustrated with the game, is to remember that you should be having fun also.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I second everything Shannon said for new DMs. Like, make that relationship with your players to make sure that they're having as much fun as they can, so that, because if you don't, then like six sessions in, you might find someone's suddenly really quiet because you didn't check in with them, or find out and they're quiet because they're like, this game's not really what I was expecting.
Hmm.
And and you want to make sure that everyone is, having the most fun they can together. um, and sometimes that means that someone's not right for the table, or you're not the right DM for them,
Hmm.
because you just have different visions of the game, and there's nothing wrong with that
Mm-hmm.
at all.
And there's also nothing wrong with how immersive you want to get into the game. Some people really, really like to do character voices and to like get up and move around when they play, but some people just like to narrate what they're doing and they don't like to do voices. And that is 100% okay too. It's whatever you want your game to be. There's no right way to play this game. It's whatever you want it to be. And we just happen to be a very RP heavy table because that's what we all like. But you could also be a very combat heavy table, and you could just be engaging in encounters every session. And if that's fun for you, then great, you're doing D&D right.
Thank you both for that insight, and I hope this advice helps fellow players and DMs understanding that it's about fun, and it's a game, and you're there to have some fun with friends, and that's what it's about. Um, this question goes to you, Shannon. What does every adventurer need in their pack or their bag of holding if the DM wants to give them one? I need 5 items.
5 items. Oh boy. Okay. Well, potion of healing for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what Scarlett's got in there. Oh, she's got nothing right now. And I just realized that. Nothing. Literally nothing.
Oh, I just realized that too. You guys didn't grab her bag.
Yeah. No, nothing.
Oh no.
My dagger of return. Sean, we lost it. We're gonna get that shit back.
Also, all your gold.
All my gold. I had almost 1,000 gold pieces.
Oh,
well, the Highland Syndicate now has 1,000.
Yeah, well, we're gonna get that shit back because
no.
Yeah. So, okay. So.
No armor either.
No.
Wow.
So
just your common clothes.
Just literally what is on my body right now. That is what she has.
Oh no.
Oh my goodness.
We're gonna have to talk about that. So potion of healing, armor, some sort of weapon. I don't know, what else has she got? Definitely some gold. Gold can get you a long way. And something that or actually Tim is really good at doing in our game is using gold not just to buy things, he uses it to influence people and influence. Like he made a deal with a street urchin for like, if you see anybody walking by that has bright red hair or looks like they're being taken against their will, like I'll give you this much money if you follow them and you find out where they're going. So he's really good at using money as a bargaining tool. So definitely, even if if you don't feel like you need to buy anything, always make sure you have some sort of coin on you because it can be really, really useful. I also love to have rope because you can use it for literally anything. And there's different versions that you can get, but the hempen rope is the one that everybody starts with, and it's gotten us through some pretty hairy situations. So I don't know how many that was. Was that 5? Was that 4? I don't know. Gold, weapon, armor. Yeah, it was potion of healing and fuck was the last one I just said? Oh, rope. Okay, rope. Yeah, rope.
Those are.
I could have put a lot more thought into that, but that's what I'm gonna go with.
Those are 5 things that Shannon has, or Scarlette, I'm sorry.
Not anymore.
There are 5 things Scarlette used to have.
Would you guys be up for a few games?
Always.
Certainly.
Sean, I did this to you before, which I'm going to do it to you again. I need you to stat yourself with a class.
Oh, yeah. It's funny because I don't remember what I said last time, and it'd be interesting to see the comparison. So I don't remember. I think I said Bard last time.
That sounds right.
But I think this time I'm going to go with Artificer.
Okay.
Because I think it wasn't officially released last time we talked. Or no, the Eberron had come out by that point. But I'm going to go with Artificer because the Bard was like the storytelling side, and the Artificer now is my crafting side, which I've gotten a lot more into. I've always been a crafting DM, but now that I have kind of my own show on the stream on Wednesdays, and crafting has become a big part of it. Painting minis, building terrain sets. That's a big part.
Gets to see how spoiled we are.
Yeah, it's it's a big part of who I am as DM, both as in someone who prizes the heavy storytelling, but also prizes the kind of tactile aspect of the game that is not for everyone, but is definitely a prominent part of my tables. So I'm a multi-class bard and artificer.
Ooh, I like that. Where's our stats at now?
All right, so that means I have to have a certain amount of intelligence to be able to do that multi-class and charisma. So I'd say I would have high intelligence and high charisma, which is a very vain thing to say.
No, it's okay.
My dump stat is strength.
Yeah.
For sure. Strength is my dump stat. It is on almost all my characters I make. I almost always have 8 strength for my characters. I'd say I have in the ever long battle between picking dexterity or constitution for your third or your second main stat. I'd say that I'm gonna put a little bit more into constitution and just a touch into dexterity so that my AC is not terrible. But I think even as a person in real life, I have higher constitution than I am dexterous.
Okay.
And then whatever's left, if I can get some modifiers out of it, I'll take it, but I'll put it into wisdom. But strength's definitely the dump stat, and I'm prioritizing intelligence and charisma.
Shannon, how about you?
Well, I also am going to multi-class, but I'm going to multi-class with Bard because I love to perform. I love to dance. I love to be on stage. I love to entertain. But I'm also going to multi-class as a fighter for a couple of reasons. I like to play angry characters. I like to fight. I don't know why. I just do. That's what that is the type I go with. But I'm a teacher by day. That is my career, and nothing gives me so much pleasure as fighting for my kids and making sure that they have everything they need to succeed and that they know how loved and valued they are. And that goes for everybody in my life. Like, that's something that I want to fight for all of my friends and for, just people in general. Like, there's so much crap in this world, and the world just needs more people to fight for them when they can't fight for themselves.
Great. Oh, I love that.
Oh,
no,
that's very nice. Very nice. Mine's like, I'm the best. It's like, I'm great at helping others. What's your subclass, Shannon? For
Battle Master.
Oh,
and Entertainer. That's background, but
still,
you know what? It still counts.
College of Eloquence from my Bard side.
Yes.
And
yes.
I'm not as familiar with the. I'm a battlesmith.
Yeah.
So, where's our stats at?
As far as stats go, I think my highest stats would probably be charisma and dexterity, because, and dexterity is kind of like the secret one because I really do have good reflexes, but nobody ever gets to see them. I just it's something could be falling, or like I could drop something and I immediately catch it, but there's nobody around, and it happens all the time. So I pride myself on my ninja skills. Although if you ask my husband, he'll say I'm a big klutz. But I still think
you need all that dexterity for the dancing you do too.
That too. Yes. Dex also. Yes, I'm a tap dancer, and Dex is definitely needed for that. I'm not very good at turning though. Still working on that. My dump stat is 100% wisdom, because there have been times in a lot of games where something will happen, everybody will put the pieces together, and then 2 minutes later I'll catch up and be like, oh my God, that's right. It happens so much. I'm just so oblivious to certain things. So my passive perception is
mine is too, so you're good. So so that means your intelligence and your charisma and all.
They're
there.
They're there. I think I'm a pretty charismatic individual.
I'd say so.
I love it. Both of you, I need you guys to pick a monster from the Wizards of the Coast, any of the books, honestly, that you would be.
That I would be.
That you would be.
Ooh.
That's a very good question.
That is, yeah, you go first. I need to think about it.
I think last time I said I'd be a hag.
That's what I was going to say.
And I might stick with that because I feel like that's like the dark side of the DM. Is the hag side, where it's like there's this other side, like I was saying, like the artificer bard, who I'm like developing these great stories with my players, and we're a party outside of the game. And then there's the other side of the DM that is the hag. That is like, come on in, children. Oh, would you like to make a deal? And then they're like, yeah, here's my backstory. Good, I'm going to kill all of these people in your backstory.
Yeah.
You can
it happens.
It's like, oh yes, and then I'll take a drop of your blood, and the deal has been made. There will be fortune abound.
Yep.
And that I'm gonna stick.
That's pretty accurate.
Definitely, still a hag.
Yep. Yep. Well, I don't want to be a copycat, so I'm going to pick something different. Are sirens a monster? We've never fought them.
Yes.
Cool. I'm going to go with that because I think that, like I said, I feel like I'm a charismatic person, but I love to play villains. I love to play evil characters. I love to play dark, edgy characters, like the complete opposite of my personality. So I would say when you get to know me, like the first thing I put out is like, I'm a happy person, yay. But when I get into role playing and things, the roles that I tend to pick are super dark.
Yep.
That's a really good one. Because it's so true.
Yeah. If anybody knows, Sean knows how dark my characters
Shannon's
are.
super friendly person, and then it's like, oh, but her character will kill you.
Literally.
Much like a siren will drag you down beneath the sea.
Yep.
Those are amazing monsters, and I love them so much. I use both of them. Are you guys ready for a little bit of this or that?
Yeah.
Sneak attack or rage?
Sneak attack. Well,
Rage.
I don't know.
Rage.
I
Resistance
like
to
sneak
bludgeoning,
attack.
piercing, and slashing is big.
Well, sneak attack's just super satisfying, but I also do like to rage.
Especially a sneak attack crit is one of the most satisfying things ever.
So satisfying. Very satisfying. I also actually wanted to ask you, since Scarlette is so angry, if she can take level barbarian just to get the rage.
We'll have to talk about that because we have to see where your strength is currently.
I forgot that's a thing. Fine. Well, it's not very good, so it's probably not going to happen.
I do dig that concept, so we'll talk about it for sure, actually.
You heard it here first?
He said I could have it, no backsies.
I said we'll talk about it for sure.
That means yes. You said for sure. That's what I heard.
For sure, we'll talk about it. This is like a parent and child in the toy store. Like, maybe after we pick up all the groceries, perhaps we'll go to McDonald's.
Yes, we're going to McDonald's.
College of Valor or College of Swords?
Ooh.
I'm not very versed in bards, but I like swords, so I'm going to go swords. Is that what Iro is?
Iro is College of Swords in our home campaign. That's a good question because I feel like College of Valor is more bardic, and College of Swords was kind of invented so that the people who wanted to do College of Valor could have a more martial bard. So I'm gonna go with Valor because I like to be a bit more bardy in my bard instead of College of Swords is like what Arcane Trickster should be, like just a really good magic using martial character. I've said that. That's why Brian, at our home table, we have a player Brian who just got super upset with how much our bard was out DPSing him as a rogue. And I was like, first of all, Brian, you multi-classed, so you're never going to be quite as good as him. He's pure rogue, pure bard. But also, Arcane Trickster's kind of the forgotten subclass of the rogue. So I allowed him to change his subclass.
Oh, you did? I didn't know you did that.
Yeah, he's a side blade now. Yeah, which we flavored to be part of the lore instead of it being just sort of like randomly. He's
very cool. I didn't know that.
Fighter with a bow or ranger?
Ranger.
Fighter with a bow. Actually, I mean, min-maxing fighter with a bow. arcane archer is just better than a ranger DPS wise, but I think a ranger is cooler. Rangers have more interesting aspects to the class, and advice out there: if you're going to play a ranger, talk with your DM about it, because if you don't, your DM is not going to care about your preferred terrain and all of that, and they're not going to incorporate it, and that can be a bummer as a ranger, because a lot of your coolest stuff is the non-combat stuff that you have, the tracking things you can do.
Also, if you're going to be a ranger, remember to use all that stuff.
Yes, remember that you have primeval awareness when you're specifically hunting fey creatures.
I don't know what you're talking about. Also, I always roll my hunter's mark damage. Always. But my ranger was my first D&D character, so it will always, that class will always have a special place in my heart.
Oh, 2d8 or 4d4?
Scarlette
44.
fights with daggers, so I'm gonna go 44.
44 because you have a lower, or your bottom threshold of damage, or whatever it is higher, because you can get 2 with 2d8s, but you can only get a 4 is the lowest you can get with 44.
Yeah, that too.
More dice is always better.
Always.
That's always better. Druid or monk?
Monk. Pat.
I've not gotten to play a druid yet. I really want to. And I haven't actually played a monk yet either.
I get you some more games. You haven't played them as NPCs?
I have played them as NPCs. Actually, now that I think about it. Monk is very cool, but I'm a sucker for having spells, so I'm going to go with druid.
Plastic dice or metal dice?
Both.
Gemstone dice.
Gemstone. Oh, wooden dice. That's a thing too.
I have both.
I personally, I'll actually answer the actual question. I like metal because they're heavier and I love the way that it feels. I like the heaviness of it.
Yeah, I'm the same. I prefer a heavy dice that really has some weight to it when you roll it. Like just a metal dice is just that sound.
Yeah. It's so satisfying.
It's so satisfying.
And like it's still satisfying with the plastic dice or whatnot, but a metal dice, the weight to it, can't beat it. And it's the same with like the other like substances. Like you know what? I actually think I like the metal dice better than my gemstone dice.
Look at that.
Heavier.
RP or combat?
RP.
RP'd combat.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yes. RPing during combat is also a lot of fun, but RP 100%.
Yeah.
Goblin or kobold?
Kobold. Specifically when Sean plays kobolds, because his kobold voice is amazing.
You've not seen my goblin voice though.
That's true.
So we'll see. I think my goblins would just be not.
Yeah, I think so too.
Just a lot of. I would go. I'm a big fan of kobolds. I'm gonna go with kobold.
High elf or wood elf?
Wood elf. Also my first D&D character.
That's a good question. So in my homebrew worlds, in our stream campaign, there are no high elves. There are the Lycian elves, who are kind of the high elves or the Gwyn elves are kind of the high elves of the area. But it depends on I like a good high elf that breaks the stereotype of high elves. Like our home campaign, high elves are much more like classic. Like they're super. Posh and like upper class and which I like that because I like Victorian settings. So I do like high elves in Victorian settings, but wood elves
for great villains too.
They do make for great villains, but I like a good high elf setting or high elf like civilization that's like not like we're not just the like elven supremacists or the racist high elves where like in our setting in the stream, the closest thing to a high elf is a Gwyn elf or sun elves, and they are they're the only democracy in the entire continent. They are into philosophy. They are not the classic. They're more Hellenistic, kind of like if you took ancient Greece but put them in like the 1600s.
Cool.
So I like high elves a lot, but wood elves can be fun. I like my wood elves too. I like we got Shannon, our home campaign character, and Valen in the stream campaign.
Yep.
This is really hard for me. as you can see with me talking it out. I'm gonna go with high elf because in our
Okay. Or it could be Gwen elf. So Gwen elf or wood elf, and you chose Gwen elf.
Exactly.
Flute or lute?
Ooh, it's a good one.
I'm not a huge fan of instruments in D&D, but I used to play the flute in real life, so I'm gonna go with flute.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I usually in D&D, if there's an instrument or I'm playing a character who has an instrument, I usually will go outside of the typical ones offered. I usually go with a mandolin in some ways, so I'm gonna go with lute.
Lute. Drist or Jarlaxle?
What? I don't know either of those words.
So something you should know is that Shannon has really 90% of her experience with D&D is homebrew.
I yes, yeah, that is so true.
Then Sean, that's directed just towards you.
So I know who Drist is. I don't know who the other one is. So I'm gonna go with Drist.
Said who.
What's the name of the other one?
Jarlaxle?
Is it? Tell me who that is.
Oh God, that's such a complex question.
I know.
For such a short amount of time. He is a part of the Drow Society, of course. I like it's all up here, but like getting it all out of here is not going to happen.
Oh, I know. I just looked up Jarlaxle, and I know I've recognized that drow.
I know he's a swashbuckler. He was in Dragon Hides.
Yeah, I recognize.
Well, just based on that one.
Yeah, I recognize
I like
him
pirates.
from the. Is he on the Waterdeep cover?
Yes.
Yeah. Drist is cool. I liked the idea of Drist. Drist is a ranger, so
he's a ranger, a fighter, and a barbarian.
So Shannon,
damn.
that might.
I changed my mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I'm gonna go with Jarlaxle though, just because I think I'm more interested in that character. Drist is cool, but and I remember when I designed my homebrew drow in my world, they're not Underdark denizens. They are mountain denizens. They're pretty much the reverse of the Underdark. They're in the highest peaks of the world. But that's also like the same like sort of like nocturnalness comes from that sense of like in our home campaign they live in the Arctic North where it's dark almost all the time, and then in our stream campaign there's a sect of them that live in the Underdark that are more traditional drow, but most of the drow still live in these mountaintop city states, and I designed them really largely around one piece of art of Drist. The one where he's got like the mountains behind him and his hair is blowing in the winds. So I'm gonna go with Drist because his art helped me. You can see these questions turned into me talking myself into an answer for 10 minutes. But Drist's picture of him in the Arctic is what inspired my homebrew drow. So I'm gonna go with Drist.
I'm a lover of drow. They're probably one of my favorite like elves to play. Last one. Dungeon or dragon?
That's a great question.
That is a great question. Well, my ranger got the kill shot on the last dragon we fought, and that was pretty cool. Right in the head. Her signature shot.
Adult white dragon.
Yeah. It was pretty cool. Yeah, I'll go with dragon.
I remember you guys were on a tight schedule, and Brian was like, "Hey, we saw its lair like a mile back, but also like 50 miles into the forest and up in the mountain. We should go check it out."
Yeah. No.
Sure.
Yep.
That's a good question because as a DM, I like to make dungeons, but also
Quite literally.
I like to think about like, oh, they're going through the forest. This is like a dungeon, so let's design it like a dungeon. But also, I love dragons. I'm a big fan of dragons. I like the dragons in my universe. I like Dragonborn. I like any kind of really Draconid in the game. So I'm gonna go with dragon.
Dragon. What color?
Ooh, it's a good question. I am partial to the colors that are not the like classic colors. I like violet dragons actually.
Ooh.
But of the like Tiamat colors and the metallic colors, I would say I'm a classic. I'm not a red dragon fan. I'm a fan of like the white dragon or blue dragon. And like any same with metallic, where it's like I'm not gonna go platinum. I'm gonna go copper.
Yeah.
This is the part where I would like for you guys to plug any of your stuff. How can our adventurers see Paradise RPG?
Yeah. We are everywhere. We are on Twitch, on Twitter, Discord, Instagram, YouTube. We have a link tree. It's on Twitter somewhere. I'm sure I'll share it again some point today. But you can find us there. You can find me on Twitter at sroby25. That's also my Instagram handled by most active on Twitter. And we have a bunch of programming, which I'll let Sean talk about, but our merch shop is also live. We have shirts from all of our characters as well as our logo.
Ooh.
And yeah, so this logo too. So yeah. Oh, no. Okay. Programming. Go ahead.
Yes, you can find us pretty much anywhere just by looking for Paradise RPG. That is PARADICE.
Yeah, good
like
call.
the
Spell
dice,
it.
like the math rocks, the clicky clacky math rocks. All one word. Our link tree is on our Twitter. So Twitter is a good like central place to look at us, and then you can expand out from there. You can watch us live on Twitch, or you can watch previous episodes on YouTube or on podcast locations as well. We do have it in podcast version. There's a few episodes missing because we messed up a few times in the first few episodes. So there's I think 2 episodes.
I'm not mad about it.
Yeah, I'm not mad about it either.
Not at all.
But it's okay.
So
But yeah, and our programming as far as what you can watch on our Twitch channel every Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can find our flagship show, Advantage in Paradise, which is our stream campaign, our long-term campaign. So check us out on Monday there. On Wednesdays, there is the show Relaxing in Paradise, which is an opportunity for me to get away from my players, although Shannon hangs out there pretty often and mods for me. So that's a great place to check in if you have questions about the campaign, but also to learn some of the extended lore of the homebrew world we play in, Aradun. I will usually be talking about some of my hand-drawn maps, or I'll be crafting something, painting a mini while hanging out. Every now and then I'll jump on to Skyrim or some other game and continue the conversation.
it's very relaxing.
Yeah, it's very casual. I start at 8:30. And I just go until
you went till midnight, I think.
I did go till I went to midnight this last one. So I just start at 8:30 and go for as long as I want, just hanging out with people. And anyone can stop in, they can leave, they can come by. It's a real relaxed stream. And then on Sundays, we have the Tim and Shannon Power Hour, where Tim and Shannon will recap the previous episode and speculate about what's going to happen on Monday. And they also have a variety segment where most recently it's been interviews. I know they're going to be expanding into potential panel discussions, and who knows, some other stuff as well. We might at some point, either in the Tim and Shannon Power Hour or in the Relaxing Paradise, we're going to get Shannon to play some video games, because she's not really a gamer.
I'm not at all.
Segment's going to be called We Teach Shannon Games.
Yep.
And
we also need to get Clayton in there at some point to do naming crap with Clay, because he likes to come up with names for things.
This last Relaxing in Paradise, we were sitting there and I was painting this purple worm that I'm not painting.
It's not purple.
And he listed off so many great names.
So many great names. My favorite was Talonmaw.
Talonmaw, yes. I said it right there.
did.
I say
You
Talon
did.
wrong most of my life. I used to call it Talon.
Yeah.
For some reason.
I was watching our narrative telephone too, and you said the word Talon correctly there as well. I was very proud.
Yeah, it's because you guys have brutally bullied me about it.
Because the word is not Talon.
My adventures, please go check out all of Shannon and Sean's stuff that they have going on. The stream is amazing. The campaign is fantastic. Sean, you left us off last time, but this time, Shannon, I'd like you to give our adventurers a small adventuring hook to send them on their merry way into whatever place that you want to put them on.
Okay. Well, I'm a hashtag forever player, so this
So we're giving you the DMC.
very interesting. Yes.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. I can't look at you while I do this. I'm actually going to take one of my favorite moments from our home campaign, and I'm going to kind of describe that. So you are on a mountain pass. It's very, very cold, like harsh. Just there, it's biting at your skin and feeling in your bones, and you've never felt so cold in your life. You've just stopped with your party. Your cart is off to the side. Everybody's kind of settling down for the evening, and you volunteered for first watch because you're not really tired, and despite the cold, you have some things you wanted to think about. So you're sitting by the crackling fire and, keeping an eye out, making sure there's nobody coming around, and you look up and there are 3 wolves in front of you. What do you do?
What do you do indeed, players? Sean, Shannon, you guys have been absolutely wonderful. Thank you for being a part of this. And again, players, adventurers, go watch Sean and Shannon. I will put all of their links and stuff below. And feel free to like, subscribe, and do the thing. And don't be too mad about the Jarlaxle thing. I'm sorry I didn't explain that better.
Thank you for having us, Ashley. This was so much fun.
Thank you.
It really
guys.
was.
And I will see you adventurers next week. Bye.